Hey everybody, and welcome to this video on the automatic Piglin Bartering machine. And what you're looking at in front of you is my design, and it addresses some of the shortcomings I've seen in other ones. So let me show you how it works. You can see I've grabbed a stack of gold ingots, so I'm going to put them up in this chest. Now I turn this on, and there's two reasons I do this. One is that it lights that bulb right underneath there, and lets me know when this is running, because it takes about 8.5 minutes for all of those items to be traded. And I don't want to have to keep checking back. The other thing it does is it keeps the noise of the piston to a minimum. Now, if we look here, we can see the Piglin doing the bartering. He's looking at a gold ingot, and then he decides what he's going to give, and he gives it, and then he gets another ingot. It's that simple. If I open up the chest, you can see that we've got some pretty decent items here. Of note, a Soul Speed 3, a bunch of nether quartz, and a personal favorite of mine, spectral arrows. Before we start building this, let me give you a quick explanation of how it works. If we come up here, we can see a collection of redstone that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense with a Piglin bartering system. But what this is a clock. This is called an Ethos Clock, and it's named after Ethos Lab, a YouTuber who developed it. What this does is it times the trades by 8.5 seconds. So what happens, if I turn this on, you can see that the piston will start to go back and forth. Each time it goes one direction, that's 4.25 seconds approximately. Round trip, though, is 8.5 seconds. And that means that each trade will be separated by 8.5 seconds. That gives that Piglin a few moments to look at your trade, barter, and then be ready for the next one. I've pulled out the Ethos Clock so you can see it all by itself. Now, if I take and throw 9 seeds into one of the hoppers, you can see that it starts to operate. Now, each back and forth of that redstone block takes about 8.5 seconds. That's enough time for that Piglin to make his barter and then move on to the next one. Now let's take a look at what you're going to need to build this. First of all, you're going to need a collection of blocks for your wall. You're also going to need 6 blocks for your redstone. I typically use white concrete. You're going to need 3 redstone comparators, 2 redstone dust, 2 glass, 4 hoppers, 2 sticky pistons, a block of redstone, a dispenser, 3 chests, an observer, some type of bulb. I used a wax copper bulb here. You're also going to need a lever, and you're going to need a sign if you want. You actually don't need that, but it's kind of nice to have. And the one thing I didn't mention is this Piglin. Now, I'm using a Piglin spawn egg to make my life easier, but if you're playing in survival, you're going to have to go out and capture a Piglin. Good point here, though, is that Piglins will not trade in the overworld. So you've got to keep this machine down in the nether. With no further ado, let's get building. Now, I'm going to do 2 things to make this a little bit easier. I'm first going to build from the bottom up so that you can see where each block goes. I'm also going to build right out in front here so that you can see what the finished machine looks like behind it. We'll start by putting down these 2 chests to make 1 double chest. Then I'm going to put this bulb behind it, just like you see there, and have 2 hoppers feeding into the chest. I'm in Java, so I hold down the Shift key to point these in the right direction. And as you can see, they both feed right into that chest. Next thing is going to be this observer. By putting a temporary block up here, I can break this one here. I can make sure that the observer points in the proper direction. I get up right next to that bulb, and I look straight up, and that's when I click it. And you can see that the arrow is pointing down, as is the arrow there. And I can get rid of that temporary block. Then I want to put this comparator, and I want to make sure it points the proper direction. So I'm going to face that way and put it up there. Next up are these white blocks. And the first thing I'm going to do is place a temporary block again. So holding down Shift, I can put one right there, and then I can get rid of it. That's that block right there. Now I've got nothing there, so I need to place another temporary block and break it, and that's these two here. The next thing we need to do is add this dispenser, and it needs to point right into the face of this guy. So what we're going to do is come over here, we'll hold down the Shift key in Java and place a block right there. Then we're going to put the dispenser right on top of it. So we're going to go back here, make sure that we are facing it from the back, and put the dispenser so it's pointing towards where our piglin is going to be. And I can get rid of that block. Next, I need to put a little bit of glass so our piglin doesn't escape. So if I go here, I can hold the Shift key down and click right on the back of this comparator and put our glass there. Now you'll note that I put that piece of glass there, but there's a wall behind our piglin, and I have to put something there so he doesn't escape from that direction. So I'm going to just put a piece of glass behind him as well. Now we need to add these two concrete blocks here. So I'm going to go over here, I'll put a temporary block here, put the block we want there, get rid of that one, and then put another temporary block here, and put them like that. And that pretty much completes that row, with the exception of the hopper. So we'll go over here, we'll hold down Shift, and we'll click it right onto the back of the dispenser. And while we're here, it'd be a good time to go ahead and put this chest right here. Now you'll notice there's some redstone here and here, so let's put those in right away. Right there and there. Now we need to add this white block next to the redstone. So if we come over here, we can click right on the edge of the redstone, but we do want to hold down Shift, otherwise it will turn into a dot like that. So we'll hold down Shift and put our block right there, and then do the same thing on the other side. So again, hold down Shift, click right on the edge there, and we have that block as well. If we go to the top, you can see that we've got two comparators that are flowing outward from the hoppers. So by going over here, we can point outwards away from the center to get these pointed in the right direction. It's time for our pistons. Pull this down here, and we need to make sure, as always, these are pointed in the right direction. So we'll drop down here, hold down the Shift key, and go right on the edge of that redstone dust. Then we're going to do another one on this side the exact same way. So I need to hold down Shift, and it'll point in the right direction, and we can add our redstone block. And that can go on either side. Once this starts running, that piston will come out to there. Now I'm going to grab a hold of this block so everything remains the same and put it right next to this chest. And that's where our lever is going to go. So we'll swap that out down here, and we'll come and we'll put it on the front. If you'll notice right now it's up. So what we're going to do is flip it down, and you see that the piston went over and grabbed a hold of that redstone block. Next thing we need to do is install these two hoppers. And these also have to point the right way. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a temporary block right there, and then point the hopper right at it. Now if we break that block, we can see it's pointed in the right direction. Then, holding down the Shift key again, we can point the hopper the other direction. And you'll see that it forms a loop. And the machine is pretty much complete, but there's a couple things missing. First of all, we need our items that we're going to count. So we'll get some seeds, And we're going to put 9 seeds in this hopper. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we'll back up and we'll flip our lever on. Now notice how it starts running immediately. Turn it back off, it stops running. Turn it back on, it starts running. Then we're going to put our piglin in the back. So we'll come around here and we'll click him right into this space here. And now it's done. So let's test it out. We'll get a stack of gold ingots and we'll put them right in here. As you can see, the bulb went on. And if we go back here, we can see our little piglin is looking at the gold, makes his decision, and chucks it. Coming to the front, we open this chest, and we can see our items coming in. So it works. Now this is a little more complex style than some of the really simple bartering machines you're going to see out there, but it does overcome some of those challenges. I hope you enjoy it. If you like this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, share, or best of all, become a member. And if you didn't like this video, please keep it to yourself. Thanks for watching.